This is the Unspoken Podcast on the Undetermined Podcast Network.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, Cheap Seat Sports Production, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. It is episode number 28. I'm Tom Albano along with Nick Federa, a special Saturday edition of the show.
Yeah, don't get mad at the calendar. It's actually Saturday.
This is actually my fault because I spent yesterday at the beach.
That's nice to know. Nice to know you're still doing your due diligence, Albano.
Well, I like doing this. I got to give to the fans.
I get it. No, I get it. Beach wins.
But I still got to... I need to get my son on. And
yes, especially since you are as pale as a ghost, my friend.
I lack vitamin D.
You do. So really, you need to somebody get this man out into the sun. In fact, if we could kind of lock him into a UV box and do this podcast from there, we would.
What's funny is if I don't get suntan lotion or whatever and I just go into the sun, I burn up easily. So it's like, do I want to be pale or red?
Which is weird because you're Italian, and Italians tend to tan well.
I get the Dutch skin because my other half of the family is Dutch, so I guess I got the Dutch skin.
Oh, great! Another thing we can thank the Dutch for.
Anyways, we got some stuff to talk about later today. We got to talk about Ezekiel Elliott and all the drama that's going on with him, and we're going to touch upon MLB stuff, including the trade deadline and this whole Kyrie mess that is going to come up in a little bit. But first, quickly, let's begin with the O.J. Simpson trial. The parole hearing, it was, I believe, on Wednesday. It was Thursday.
It was Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon.
Thursday morning.
There's not much I can really say about it that isn't Jesus Christ. I mean, after 22 years, it seems that man still can put on a show. He still wants to play to the cameras, and that's exactly what this was.
I was going to say, so let's recap what this is. Now, a lot of this OJ drama happened, like the infamous June 17, 1994 date was a few months before I was born, so I don't remember too much about OJ when his first big trial came around, except that people were either, cheering and screaming and everything and absolute, yay, he's, innocent. I told you, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit.
Yeah. So we were both, you weren't born yet. I was too young to really understand.
Right.
Didn't remember what was going on. So a lot of our knowledge of OJ, and the cultural significance is secondhand.
Right. And the only OJ big thing that I remember is what he was on parole for. I mean, what he was on the parole hearing for and what he was sentenced to when it was the big robbery and kidnapping in 2007, 2008. I remember it was...
The documentary that ESPN did, OJ Made in America.
Right.
Which, by the way, see it if you haven't yet, because it is absolutely brilliant. But they go over that, and basically, if you don't know, he was sentenced to 33 years because of this armed robbery. Armed robbery that took place in Las Vegas, where he was trying to reclaim some of his memorabilia that he believes was stolen from him. It was not that, and it went sideways, and he was arrested and sentenced to 33 years in prison, and 9 years later, he got up on parole, and now he's going to be a free man as of October 1st.
Right. It's October 1st. He'll be released from prison and on parole, living in Florida. When this arrest first happened for the robbery and kidnapping, a lot of people said it was karmatic justice because he should have gone to jail for the
Well,
murder.
yeah, I don't think even putting aside, no matter everybody, it's not like in 1994, where there's still doubt that everybody knows now. Every man, woman, and child, black or white, no matter what color you are, that he did it.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, especially at that time in the mid '90s, there was a lot of a race thing.
A lot of racial tension, and it really was a monster that the LAPD itself had created because of and a lot of this has gone over in the documentary where it's a lot of this was revenge for Rodney King, and it really was, the black community was very upset, rightfully so, that innocent black guys kept getting beat and shot by the LAPD. A lot kind of like today, although I'm not really going to go into deep dive into the racial politics, because that's really not my place, because white privilege talking here. But it seems to me like that has kind of faded away, where he's not really even part of the black community anymore. It's just OJ.
Well, I was going to say, like, this OJ thing. I mean, maybe then it was a little, blindness with all the racial tension. But I think as time has gone on, it's just become more and more clear. He probably did that. And then, 2008, I mean, there was no, like, oh, he couldn't have done it because he was sentenced. So it's like, at this point, I mean, he's out on parole. I mean, some people said that 33 years was a little much, but
Robbie, because this was really revenge.
Right. But I mean, like at first it seems, when I was watching the parole hearing, it seemed that, things were going, a little smoothly and such. But then it's like, you can tell later he's putting on a bit of a face.
Of course, he's not even putting on a bit of a face. He's putting on his whole face. That man, his entire existence is pretty much, I am only what you want me to be, not what I actually am.
And here's the thing. Sports Illustrated pointed out things like, like supposedly he was on a workout regimen, but then supposedly he was like running the jail's like softball league or something. It's like, what?
He's trying to prove to us that he's a model citizen, you see.
Right.
Conflict-free life, my ass.
But what's funny is they had the one security guard on from that was like there with OJ, and basically said that OJ was putting on a face, and it's like he still got out anyways.
Exactly, and you know what? What is the over/under? I put it to you that as soon as he's released, what's the over/under on how soon he gets a book deal or a reality TV show? Because that's what this is leading to.
Probably. I could see within a year or so.
He's going to start hanging out with the Kardashians. Look at that. And everything comes full circle.
Oh my God, that he better not. I mean, for his own sake, he better not, because I feel like he's out on parole now, and maybe that 33-year sentence, you could debate that it was a little stingent and somewhat karmatic from the 94 trial. But here's the thing. I feel like, he's free on parole. Now he is going to make his own decisions. If he screws up while on parole, throw him away again and turn the key, lock the lock, and, don't let him out. I mean, at this point, he's in charge of his future. He could either make the most of this second chance of life again and, not do anything.
The second chance that he didn't deserve.
Well, here's the thing. He could just, stay out of the spotlight or the reality TV, do reality TV or whatnot, and just, avoid conflict, etc. Or he could screw up his parole and then throw him away into jail again and just not let him out. And that's that.
Yeah, and you won't. I don't think you'll ever see him at like the Bills. The Bills actually honoring him. I don't think you'll see him
They
do
better
anything
not.
NFL related. I mean, the NFL has a PR problem as it is, and we'll get into that later in the show. but you putting him anywhere near an NFL field is just suicide. That's you're daring people to stop watching you.
Absolutely. And I mean, quite frankly, this is a case of, what he did on the field, should be the minimum to, what he did off the field. I mean, in the case of, since I'm a wrestling fan, in the case of WWE, Chris Benoit, hell of a technician, hell of a wrestler. But the aftermath of what happened, and his
It wipes away everything that he accomplished when he was in the
right.
ring.
I wouldn't say maybe wipes away everything that he accomplished, but there's no sense in promoting him anymore. He's he basically he'll never be in the Hall of Fame or anything like that ever again. He'll never be mentioned on TV again because of what the final moments of his life were all about.
Exactly. I mean, you said at one point that they don't even have any information on him. It's almost like he never even existed.
Right, there's if you go online or whatnot, you'll see his name in title runs, and you'll see his name in some WWE encyclopedia that they have. But when you go to WWE Network, if you search Chris Benoit, nothing is there. He's basically hidden chapters in shows. You can't just skip to the chapter about Benoit. You have to find. If you're watching a WrestleMania or something, there's not going to be a chapter for his match. You have to fast forward through the whole program to find it.
So they still keep the matches up. They still keep the matches up there, right?
Right. I mean, it's the WWE Network. It's a whole program and such.
So you have to pretty much not deprive them of programming. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point, and it comes back to although Chris Benoit is nowhere near the kind of fucking firestorm and racially charged firestorm that OJ became.
Right.
It just seems like this guy just will not go away.
I know, and hopefully OJ does go away. And before we move on to the topic, you're bringing up the racial thing, and I'm not saying he got away with murder because he was black or anything like that. White people have had their history of getting away with murder. Hi, Casey Anthony, how you doing?
Hi. Hope you're enjoying reserving that spot in hell.
Hopefully. You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, Cheap Seat Sports Production, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. And we have got some, just all the basketball news in the world. And with that, Nick, as per usual.
Right up.
The Unspoken Podcast now takes a trip to the circus that is the New York Knicks.
That's right. And you know what? It wasn't even supposed to be about the New York Knicks, but somehow the Knicks just got inserted into this conversation over the last 24 hours. It's insane.
Wait a minute. Nick, hold on a second here. Are you telling me the Knicks are not the big point of our basketball talk today?
I think I am.
So then who could it be? Oh, so now supposedly the Knicks are getting involved into a conversation involving a certain NBA big name from the Cavs. What? You think I was talking about LeBron? No, I'm talking about Kyrie Irving.
Yes, Kyrie Irving. It was reported yesterday by Adrian. It was reported by Adrian Wojnarowski that Kyrie Irving requested a trade from the Cavaliers and the Knicks, the Spurs, and which other team?
I thought I heard the Nets too for some reason.
They're his preferred trade destinations because he does not want apparently, out of nowhere, he does not want to play with LeBron anymore. And can you have a shitty... I know the Knicks have had a bad offseason, but I think the Cavaliers had a shittier offseason so far.
Well, we have a recent development. It was about half an hour ago when we were just getting started, but now, that was before when we were just setting up and possibly going on the air, but now it's an hour ago from 1:30 today, a report coming in that LeBron James will not try to convince Kyrie Irving to stay in Cleveland. James was reportedly blindsided by the request, but he's not going to do, he's not going to try to convince him to stay, which is very weird.
Maybe there was trouble in paradise. Maybe this team is not as tightly fit together as we thought it was. And what do you make of this, Tom?
I mean, I was blindsided by the request too, but I mean, I thought, the Cavs are going to fight it. I mean, it's like the Cavs aren't going to fight it. Like, I thought, something just doesn't seem right. There's stuff, like you said, there's probably trouble in paradise, and there's stuff we don't know that's finally going to come out that maybe all wasn't well in Cleveland, and, maybe it really was the Golden State Warriors' fault for losing in 2016.
Could be, and honestly, maybe the Warriors have gotten into LeBron's head more than we thought they did, even though he beat them once. The fact that he lost again, I don't know. I don't know whether the fact that he now has this Herculean opponent waiting for him, that the fact that he is going to get another trophy is no longer a foregone conclusion. I think it might be driving him a little nuts.
I think it is, because come on, LeBron, come on. You've been to the NBA Finals how many times? You've won, 3 titles already? You're fine. You're fine. There is no need to panic.
Your legacy is all that secure, but I wonder, though, and I put it to you, how much of Kyrie Irving wanting to leave is a reaction of, I don't want to play for LeBron, or I don't want to play for Dan Gilbert anymore?
I think maybe it could be a mix, though. It didn't seem like there was any trouble between LeBron and Kyrie, so the fact that LeBron is, not doing anything kind of shocks me. I thought I would say the Gilbert thing, but just, that shocks me that LeBron isn't going to defend, the move, unless, because we discussed it a couple weeks ago from Morganson, this is the beginning of the end again for LeBron in Cleveland.
Yeah, if Kyrie leaves, he is out the door. But however, that is conditional. I say it's conditional, because depending on if they can trade him and what they get back.
Probably, but also, I think how I said it was conditional about his last, year in Cleveland. Well, now I'm thinking they have to go all the way. If they don't, and this Kyrie Irving deal goes through, I'm gonna bring it out there. I think this might be the last year we see LeBron James in a Cleveland uniform. Again. But I guarantee you, after the 2018 season, if the Irving deal goes through, and depending on how good or how shitty it is, or meh, and if they don't win another trophy, I guarantee you in 2019 we see LeBron in, I don't know, as a Laker or Spur or something other than a Cleveland Cavs uniform.
Watch him go to the Warriors.
Oh my God, he would become the biggest heel in the NBA again.
Bigger than Durant?
I think so. It's LeBron James. It's like, oh my God, it's just, how greedy can you be?
Maybe he sees himself as kind of like a Johnny Appleseed, where I plant championships wherever I go. So I gave one to Cleveland. Now I have to go and give a championship to another long-suffering franchise. Maybe he sees himself like that. I could be talking out of my ass,
if he sees
kind of am talking out of my ass.
if he sees himself like that, hi LeBron, come here.
Hi, we're drowning.
we're drowning so badly. We haven't seen a title since '73. Please.
So which brings me to my next question. Why? Because we saw printed on Twitter. Well, not printed, but it's on Twitter that the Knicks are one of Kyrie's preferred destinations. Why? Why would you ever want to go to the Knicks?
Maybe to try to turn the franchise around? Maybe?
Stay away! Please! Do not! This is a hazardous area. We all have hazmat suits. I'm telling you, it is bad out here.
Yeah, here is just, there's only one way to sum up what it's like being a New York Knick.
It is so apt. It is. And you know what? What do you think? Do you think they would actually pull off a Carmelo for Kyrie swap?
I mean, it's better than in the spring. We were always in Smith's class where we would discuss, possibly, trade stuff with, not trade stuff, NBA draft stuff. And we were thinking, because this was when Phil Jackson was still in charge, and we were thinking he will send Carmelo and like the draft picks for like J.R. Smith and two others. I mean, it'd be a better deal than what we thought with the Cavs.
Yeah. Well, definitely the Knicks will definitely end up in a better place because Kyrie he's 28, I think.
Yeah, like something like that.
And
he's not young, but he's not out of his 20s yet, and that counts. He's in the prime of his career, we'll say that. Actually, whoa, he's 25.
Ooh.
He's still got the prime of his career to go.
And now that just became a lot more attractive, but it seems to me.
Also, I just read a report. There was a tweet about Kyrie Irving possibly going to the Knicks, and it was liked by a certain Nick. And could you guess which Nick that was?
Porzingis.
That was Porzingis.
Of course he would. Of course he wants Kyrie there. He wants anybody that can help him crawl out of this dumpster fire we call a professional basketball playing franchise.
But I mean, here's the thing. If this Melo deal goes through, then it's like, the guy who yelled at him about the triangle offense is gone. The guy who wanted to implement the triangle offense is gone. And it's like everyone was feeling so bad for KP, and then he'll get Irving, and now KP essentially can rise into the spotlight. He could be the guy. He could be the guy.
And you know what?
But if Irving comes here, they can be the duo. Let's say that.
Yeah, so he would be the Robin to Kyrie's Batman.
Exactly.
If I'm going to put it in nerd terms, the only terms I understand.
Perfect, but it's perfect terms.
No, it seemed, but we've been hearing before this Kyrie news broke. We've been hearing, that Carmelo absolutely wants to go to the Rockets. He absolutely will not take no for an answer. He will not go back to the Knicks. Just send me to the Rockets and I'll be fine.
And then supposedly the trade talk stopped.
But now that the Cavs are an option, do you think he would be a better fit in Houston or he would be a better fit in Cleveland?
That's a good question. That is a good question. I'm trying to think of let's see what Houston has right now. I want to see what Houston has right now and what Cleveland has right now. I mean, Houston, they have James Harden for one thing, and Harden I think will have another beast mode year. They now have Chris Paul. So that would be Chris Paul, James Harden, and Carmelo Anthony. Would you say that's a big three or no?
Yeah, I mean, in both potential trade situations, he is the third piece of a big three.
Well, that would be LeBron James, Carmelo. Who would you say is the third?
Kevin Love, although to a lesser degree.
I was going to say that's a bit of a lesser degree. So, you know what?
Answer it!
Okay, I will answer it. And I'm going to go with Houston, actually. Because I think it's going to be, like you said, I mean, in the other case, it's a big three. But I think with Cleveland, it's to a lesser degree. And like we were saying before with Cleveland, if without a title and that this Irving deal goes through, without a title, LeBron might not stay. So that'd be like so much for that.
Yeah, so it may end up backfiring on Cleveland anyway.
Right. So I think he'd be a better fit for Houston. But if there's no trade or whatnot, just know Carmelo's gonna sit out and just sit out and protest. You know what I mean?
Would anybody blame him? I mean, God knows I wouldn't.
He's just seen so much shit. It's like he wants to be put out of his misery and go somewhere else. And it's like at this point you might as well.
He's gone through the life cycle of a Jets player in literally record time.
Right.
I'm excited to be here. Why isn't this working? And God, please get me out of here.
Well, here's the funny thing. There was, unlike the Jets thing, there was once upon a time where Carmelo on the Knicks brought the Knicks success. It was like their first playoff run in like a decade. They got past the first round in 2013, which got every Knicks fan excited until we realized we were playing the fucking Miami Heat with the Big Four at that point.
Fuck.
Right. And so it's like, okay, but then we didn't make the playoffs for the next couple of years, but we weren't dead last, kind of. So it's like, it's like, all right, so normal. And now he is experiencing the low of the lows, and it's like, sunrise, sunset.
I don't think we should, lament until this trade goes through, though.
Right. But basically, I don't blame him still.
No, I don't. It's just this is a situation where we lose, no matter what happens. Where, yeah, you gain a lot by having Kyrie, but I can't help but wonder if this was a stable franchise, if Melo actually wanted to be here. I mean, what the Knicks could have achieved.
Right. But I mean, in the case of, because about the Dan Irving thing and Carmelo and the Phil Jackson thing, it's like both teams, it seemed like, wanted to repair somewhat with Irving and Carmelo respectively, but it's like the damage is done.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? We, at this point, we're just going to have to sit back and see what happens.
Sit back and watch the sparks fly.
It's going to be good to watch, though.
You're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, Cheap Seat Sports Production by the Unspoken Podcast Network. Let's move on now to a different situation, one in the NFL and one involving a Cowboys running back named Ezekiel Elliott.
I hate him already.
And Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, last year before his rookie season even started, there were reports that he hit a woman. And now this year, before preseason starts, there are now reports that he was allegedly involved in a bar fight.
Allegedly. Although, probably. Yeah. With the NFL, you can always decode allegedly to mean probably.
I mean, at this point, so now he's under investigation he's got to be under investigation for 2 causes, if not just one.
And as it is, I read an article on Deadspin yesterday saying that the NFL was trying to get squeeze non-public information out of his domestic violence case.
Wait, Say that one more time.
His domestic violence case.
Right. It was.
You remember that, right?
Yeah, of course. I mentioned that.
Yeah, I read an article on Deadspin saying that I think it was about 2 days ago, where they said that the NFL and Jerry Jones have been trying to acquire documents related to that case that are strictly confidential.
Interesting. Would this actually? I might be reading the same thing that just popped up that I was just learning about. Are you talking about emails obtained by Diana Moskovitz and Lauren Thiessen?
And Lauren Thiessen, yep.
Wow. So,
Which by the way, I love those two. I love their reporting, and it's a great read. It really is, and
very interesting read. So it's like maybe the NFL is actually caring about this for once.
Caring about this by trying to acquire non-public documents.
But then but then there's that case of it. So it's like, oh, maybe they do care. Wait, they're trying to.
They're not doing this for any kind of public good. They're doing this to save their own asses. We can always attribute a selfish motive to the NFL.
Always attribute to a selfish motive to the NFL, and always attribute a selfish motive to the players, I guess. Because honestly, I don't get it. As much as, what we were discussing about this Deadspin thing, is Zeke, why would you do this? Why?
Maybe he is just not a good person.
I know, but it's just, I feel like it seems like no matter what we teach these college kids who are going into the pros about you're now in the public eye, they still do stupid shit like this.
Yeah, paging Johnny Manziel.
I don't know.
That's more self-harm. You could kind of put like maybe Richie Incognito would be a little bit more of an apt comparison.
Well, with Manziel, it was like at first, it'd be like, oh, he's just a kid, and he's trying to live, college age style. But then it was like, as the years went on, it's like, okay, this is getting fucking ridiculous.
This is typical NFL shit. This is typical. Something bad happens. One of your players does something stupid and harmful and fucking incomprehensible, and the NFL is just trying to sweep it under the rug, like they always do.
It's just,
especially with domestic violence, they seem to have this sort of, I don't want to even call it a bugaboo, because it's affecting,
a bad reputation.
It's affecting people's lives. You're affecting these people. These women are getting beat. They're getting the holy hell beat out of them, and the NFL's trying to cover that up because of profits. I'm sorry, there's something that just doesn't fucking fit here.
Well, here's the thing. This email situation or whatnot, because this was yesterday because I was at the beach yesterday, so I wasn't really paying attention to any sports news.
Lucky you.
What happened?
Lucky you.
But still, regardless of that, I saw that and said there's only one of two things that's going to happen. Number one, Ezekiel Elliott's going to get suspended for the whole season. Number two, and the more probable one, he'll only get suspended 2 to 4 games, and the NFL and Commissioner Goodell will be under blast again.
Of course. You really think they had stronger evidence with Ray Rice, and they basically sat on their thumbs. Do you really think they are going to find the mental and physical fortitude to do something about it now? Absolutely goddamn not.
And once again, this is why ever since 2014, I've put Goodell towards the bottom of the commissioner's list or the middle, and have called for his resignation. You
gotta try hard to make Gary Bettman look good.
I mean, I was gonna say, well, Gary Bettman's still, I think, the worst of the worst, because like I said last week, like I would even put him under McMahon, because I feel like he has done more to harm the NHL.
Yeah, but at least civilians aren't getting harmed.
Right, there is that. It's just I don't know, man. I don't know. This is just
A
like
shit show.
it is because I'm still trying to read and figure out this email article. So the NFL reserves the right to perform its own investigations into player conduct and is often criticized for the manner in which it happens. So at this point, everybody deserves criticism from first of all the NFL and Commissioner Goodell, because, like I said, even if they do, find something, they're only going to suspend it for what, 4 games, something like that.
Yeah, of course. And you know what? You
and
really
you know why else? I'm going to say it, even though, and some people may, come at me because I'm a Giants fan for it. They're Cowboys. They're part of America's team, one of the NFL's most beloved.
inexplicably.
But of course, this all could have been avoided if Ezekiel Elliott wasn't stupid.
If Ezekiel Elliott wasn't acting like a piece of shit.
Right. Like I say, all the college kids, they get told when they're coming into the pros that they're going to be in the public spotlight. And, there's a nice big spotlight on you, Ezekiel Elliott. You had a great year, but you also have a lot of controversy following you. And as both a Giants fan and just a decent human being, all I have to say to you is,
You suck!
Yes, nice use of the soundboard there, my friend.
thank you. So with that, you're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, a Cheap Seat Sports production part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. I guess we'll just have to wait.
Yep.
Moving
But in any event, moving on.
I guess we're gonna go to the MLB trades now. So what do you think? We got traded.
So we got trades. We got hot fucking stove is what we got, and we got So we didn't get a chance to go over this on last week's show because it hadn't happened yet. Although had it happened, we probably would have talked about it for a solid hour. Where the Yankees completed a deal with the Chicago White Sox, and to acquire, they got Todd Frazier, they got David Robertson back, and they got Tommy Kahnle for Blake Rutherford and a couple of other and Tyler Clippard and a couple of other minor league pitchers.
Right. What do you think about the deal, Nick?
The jury is out on Todd Frazier because we haven't seen him enough.
Right.
And anything is better than Headley at this point.
Right. But I mean, it's also, this isn't 2015 Todd Frazier, let alone 2007 Todd Frazier. He's an older individual now. His bat just isn't what it is. I mean, if he turns it around, maybe he'll be launching bombs. Hang on, Nick. I'll be right back.
Well, you see, he's not even 30. He's only 31. I mean, you wouldn't necessarily have to. You wouldn't necessarily. He's not really that far gone. I see why this trade. I see why this trade was made, and it's basically to bolster this bullpen. But it's. You know what? I like Blake Rutherford. I really, it stings to have to get rid of those prospects. I mean, say that Blake Rutherford was in single A, but
sorry about that, Nick.
No, what I was saying was he's only 31.
What was that?
Todd Frazier's only 31.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's only 31.
What?
So he's just having a down year.
I guess, but it's just like, wow. I thought Todd Frazier he's been playing a long time though.
He's been playing a long time because I think he was called up early, but he's only 31.
God.
But still, I know why they made this trade to bolster the bullpen, but it still kind of stings to get rid of Blake Rutherford because you started, even though he's in single A. I mean,
yeah, but you have to consider this. where's the room for him? They have so many outfield top prospects, the Yankees.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Judge isn't going anywhere, and God knows they've been trying to get rid of Ellsbury, and Frazier's coming up the pipe. You know, God willing, they get they get Bryce Harper in 2019.
Right, but Dustin Fowler, he's still got to come back,
and they're still very high on him, even though he's injured.
Right.
But I put the question to you. Plus it's addition by subtraction by getting rid of Tyler Clippard.
Right. I was gonna say, I think Robertson part of the deal solves the relief pitching problem. I think potentially, and I might sound mad to you, basically I think, I guess here's where I'm going with this. I get it. I think maybe Headley or Frazier can move to first base, and that could solve that problem. But that is also going to play into my little rant for the last segment.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I will say this. Well, I will say.
In fact, what I will say, I'll hint at it. I feel very bad for what's his name, Garrett Cooper.
I do. I do too. He wasn't. But we'll get to that. But I put it to you. I asked because the trade every MLB source we follow on Twitter is saying that the Yankees aren't done, that they still want to swing a trade. And rumor mill being what it is, they think that it might be that they are looking into Yu Darvish, and there have been scouts from the A's in minor league, scouting minor league, so that could mean Sonny Gray.
Yeah, I've been hearing about Sonny Gray for a while, and I feel like he might have to be the favorite based on, it's been a while, and, they don't have – he might be like the least expensive one. I remember they were trying to do the White Sox deal of Jose Quintana, but then they wanted Judge, from what I heard.
They wanted Judge and they wanted Frazier.
Right.
And that ain't fucking happening.
Nope, not happening at all.
What is the I'm reticent to swing a deal for that kind of starter because I like those prospects and I want to keep them. I want to hoard. Right. What do you think is a good? What do you think would be the price where you would say no?
Where I would say no.
Yeah.
That's a good question. Sonny Gray, he's a good pitcher, but he's still an injury-prone pitcher, and I don't even know what Sonny Gray's contract is right now.
He is a free agent after 2020, I believe.
Actually, it says no. This says he's on a 1-year deal.
Oh.
So he'd be a rental player.
Yeah, basically.
So maybe not a top prospect, maybe a mid-level prospect or two.
Or maybe you deal from a strength where I do want to see Jorge Mateo, and I've heard a lot about him.
Right.
Miguel Andujar as well.
Right, but those two, I feel like it's like what I was saying about Gardner like weeks ago, for weeks on end. If the price is right, maybe we give them up. But I think with the case of Mateo and the other Andujar, I think it's got to be someone we're going to have down under contract, after this.
For a couple of years at least. Plus, right. You're kind of blocked at short and at second because of Didi and Castro. And they're young enough, and they're still producing. They are still a very big part of this team. And
you bring up the rookies. We still got to wait on Gleyber Torres for next year.
Yeah, and again, God willing, we'll see him next year, or because hopefully when he comes, he's pretty much just staying there.
Right.
But it's about dealing, I think, from a position of strength, and that. In a position where you kind of have a roadblock, and I think probably the outfielders would probably be the surest bet to be dealed away in any kind of
absolutely. Like we said, there's just too much, so much talent, but so few spaces.
Besides, Yu Darvish, I mean, even the starter crop is not even that good because Yu Darvish is having a down year.
Right. I mean, in fantasy, we have a saying. We have a saying in fantasy baseball: starting pitching is a premium. And I think this year, more than anything, that is like the perfect slogan to fit on MLB starting pitching in general.
Yeah, and I really don't think you want to solve this problem of filling Pineda's spot, filling from within rather than from without.
Right.
Because I do believe, like I said last week, I think Chance Adams should be getting a shot if he can tweak his fastball command.
Right. I was gonna say it's like control issues or something like that they're not ready to call him up yet.
But the price, I think, before the deadline hits, which the deadline is actually next week, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're not going to be able. We're going to be able to do another show before the deadline, or
we're gonna have a show next week, and if you want, for our Periscope viewers, we could probably do something around the night before and night of the trade deadline.
Yeah, we could probably do that. But I think if I'm going to make my early prediction, I think they will at least add another bullpen arm.
Another bullpen arm?
Yeah, if I had to guess.
I feel like maybe Robertson helped, put a fix on things, but I mean, it doesn't help that Betances and Chapman suck this year. Well, not suck, but their health.
They've been shaky as hell, and you can't relax, and that's not good.
Right.
Besides, Warren's been good. Tommy Cannell's been blowing people away since he's been here.
Right.
And
it's like what we were saying about last week, all the stuff. It's just, what's his name? Girardi's got to learn to not use Betances and Chapman that much. I mean, not as much, and hopefully this Robertson-Kane deal is going to help with that.
Yeah, and well, what was it? Now tell me. What was it that you're so upset about?
Oh, you want to go into my topic?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So with that, you're listening to the Unspoken Podcast, GBC Sports Production by the Unspoken Podcast Network. Last segment. All right. So as I hinted before, I feel so bad for Garrett Cooper. I mean, he gets what? 12 major league at-bats, and now suddenly they're getting what's his name, Todd Frazier, and there's all this talk that either he's going to play first base or Headley's going to play first base. It's like, the young kid just got here and we just called him up. We didn't really give him a chance to do anything. So with that, I propose a question to you, Nick. I propose this question regarding both fans and the system and staff and everything. Based on the success of one Aaron Judge, have we become too impatient with the Yankee rookies?
I'm too impatient in a sense where we need to see them now?
That and that they basically have to perform well.
We are definitely going to get to that point because I think in a way you're right. You're right, and you will become more right as more Scranton guys come up. Because like you said, Sanchez and Judge and on a shorter time scale, Clint Frazier have kind of spoiled us. You're right. And I can see you're afraid. You're afraid that the fans won't give these prospects enough leash?
Pretty much, and the system itself, because it's like we got Garrett Cooper in that deal, and he was a minor leaguer, and we called him up right away, and he went like 0 for 4 one day, like 1 for 4, something like that the next, and it's like, oh, now suddenly we have Todd Frazier, and we might move Headley, or the struggling Headley, or Todd Frazier, who's been struggling himself over for Garrett Cooper. It's like, we just got Garrett Cooper, and he's just getting called up to the majors. You brought him up with no major league experience to fill a hole that the Yankees have been having so much trouble at this year. It's like you can't expect – Rome wasn't built in a day.
I would say that. But people were really expecting Garrett Cooper to come up and rake?
Right. I don't know, but basically, if the Yankees, Girardi, Cashman were all expecting that, then I'm going to be very critical of that. It's like, no, you can't do that. He's still a rookie.
Yeah. I mean, especially since he came from the
Milwaukee, I believe.
Yeah, he came from the Brewers, and as far as I know, he wasn't that high on their system either. On their depth on the Brewers depth chart.
Right. You can't expect. Well, he had never played a major league game. He was still a AAA-er, and they called him up right away.
See, what happened with him is exactly what I was afraid was going to happen when Frazier came up. As in Clint Frazier.
Right.
In that, it take him some time to get his sea legs, because if not for injury, as much as I love the guy, as much as I love Red Thunder, he would not be here if not for the injury to Aaron Hicks.
Right.
And I feel like the Yankees still feel like they got some work to do with him.
Right. Also, if it wasn't for that injury, like I remember the Fowler injury happened, and then for some reason they were bringing Chris Carter back. I'm like, what the fuck? And that led me to believe, when they were doing like all the trade rumors and everything, but they were like, all the other teams wanted top prospects. It led me to believe originally that that meant Frazier's days as a Yankee were numbered.
Yeah, I don't think they would ever trade him. I just think he would be riding the shuttle, to from here in Scranton a lot.
Right, but that, had he not been called up, and he would have been that top prospect that would have been traded, he would have been playing major leagues on another team, would have been doing well, and I think the Yankees would have regretted it. So I think this was the Hicks injury and Fowler thing was a blessing and a curse for the Yankees, because it's like, see, he's a good talent, and Frazier could probably stay.
But I put it to you, on the subject of impatience.
What's up?
Do you believe that Frazier and Garrett Cooper can learn more, can get better, I should say, harness and hone their skills better in Scranton than they can in the bigs?
Garrett Cooper, maybe. I don't know if he was major league ready or not, but I feel like, we brought him up to, like I said, a position where we had been struggling because our first base, let's talk about the Yankees' first base struggles this year. You had Tyler Austin break his foot. Then you got Chris Carter. Need I say more?
That fucking albatross.
And then Choi, who I thought was doing fine, and then for some reason they're like, maybe we go with Chris Carter again. Like I said, I feel like, keep him down there or bring him up. This is at a point where it's like, I have to ask the Yankees, do you even have a solution for first base?
I know what their solution is. You're just gonna have to wait to spring training next year to see him again, because they are not giving up on Greg Bird.
Right, and I wouldn't either. I don't blame them, but maybe after another injury or two, like next year, then it's like, oh great, we have an injury-prone prospect.
Yeah, you know what it is, and this ties back to your impatience thing, more than it ties in beautifully, because my father, big Yankee fan. In fact, I'm a Yankee fan because of him, and he here's Greg Bird's injury, and he says, oh great, another Nick Johnson. And remember Nick Johnson, kids? You remember Nick Johnson, boys and girls?
I like the way that you're talking down to everybody.
I'm just saying, because I barely remember Nick Johnson.
But here's the thing, it's like, I don't know, man. It's just, like the Greg Bird thing. I said after another injury.
That's what I'm saying. My father's not willing to give him a chance because these are just freak injuries. These are not something that is. He tears the thing in because of use.
Right, but that's the thing. Like, I'm willing to give him a couple more chances, but like I said, only maybe one or two. But after that, it's like, maybe then we have to say, okay, maybe he is injury prone, and we need to do something else.
They are executing this rebuild, this restocking, I should say, on a much shorter time scale than a lot of other major league franchises do, because you would think, the rebuilding timeline is sell off your piece. Right. You're bad for your cellar dwellers for about 2-3 years. If everything goes well, you stock up the farm system, and then you steadily start to climb. But with
the Yankees, but you also have to remember, for the Yankees, they were also preparing for next year in 2019 to be big spending years, like big Yankee-esque offseason years.
Yeah, and the way they're doing it, it's like taking a swig of. It's like getting somebody to give you a bottle of Gatorade when you're hanging on the side of a mountain.
Right, but that's the thing. Like now, with this trade deadline, all the problems that were going on, it's like, are we sacrificing some of that?
Are we sacrificing?
Some of that off-season, big preparation for a big, off-season because it's like, oh crap, we're dealing with so many injuries. We gotta, do shit now, and they're essentially hitting the panic button.
And think about what it was. Think back to what it was you and I expected out of this team before the season began.
Right. We didn't expect much.
No, we didn't expect much. In fact, I would, even though they're still in third place and that they're tied for the wild card lead, I still think they've overachieved despite, going through a very, tough couple of months.
Right. And
I don't want trying to reach for the brass ring before you're ready impede any kind of progress that this team can make towards the future.
Like, I know Nick and I were essentially arguing like last week about whatever it was. But basically, like, he was saying something about he was saying that I said something about finding a balance or whatnot, and I don't even remember that.
Oh, yeah. I felt like I needed to step in.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to end in a fist fight. If I'm going to be 100% honest.
I just feel like, here's the thing. I don't think it's worth, like, it's maddening, but I think the Yankees made a right move with the Robertson deal. I think that was probably their best case scenario in regards to that. I feel a little better about after what I had said about last week, and then this deal came through.
Yeah, because they dealt from a position of strength, and Robertson's under contract for a couple more years.
Right. So that was a very good move. What I think, but now comes the other part of my argument of like, but you got to give these rookies a chance. You can't, like, I want to see them play, but at the same time, they're still rookies.
Yeah. In a way, you think that we expect too much of them.
Yes. Because like we said back in the beginning of the season, we didn't think much was going to happen. But you know what? Things have happened, and it's been great. But then there are also things like Garrett Cooper, because like this whole last week, the Garrett Cooper thing, like last week, and it was like, normal. But then like this past week, the Frazier deal happens, and Cooper rarely gets any at-bats. It's like, come on. Did you have high expectations for this guy? Then why did you bring him up to the freaking majors if you're going to pull the Frazier shit off? It's like,
you know what? I don't think there are a lot of Yankee fans that would agree with us.
Probably not.
Because they see playoffs, they see the chance of playoffs, and they try to snap at it like a bloodhound.
Right. Give him a chance and relax. Like I said at the beginning of this year, next year is going to be the big year.
Next year, we're going to be expecting a lot more because now we've seen what this farm system can do anyway. So whether or not they make the playoffs this year,
right? But here's the thing: still don't
overachieving if you make the playoff, if you even make the playoffs.
Right, but at the same point, don't blow your finances this year at the trade deadline.
Yeah, and but the Yankee brass is treating this like we have the chance, we have to take it now. Fans being impatient doesn't faze me. That happens all the time, especially with the Yankee fans. We're a spoiled lot, we are.
Right, but
and I don't want the front office thinking that, though.
Right, but that's the thing. It was like the front office expecting, like the front office was the ones basically saying 2018 was going to be the big year, and it's like, come on, Cashman, come on, Girardi, you can't. Like, you guys are the brains. You guys should know.
It's like, please stick to the plan. The plan is working.
Right. I mean, the plan right now was going better, and now the plan is, like, basically, the plan was going, from better than expected to normal. And but basically now that it hit normal after those high, rises that were unexpected, it's like, oh, we're only at normal, now we have to hit the panic button. No, you don't.
No, there was never any case of panic even being a viable option in this case, because
I will tell you the one player that goes I will tell you basically the three players that will go down that will cause panic. Ready? Choi, Cooper. Actually, you know what? Make it 4. Choi, Cooper, Frazier, Austin Romine. If all 4 of them somehow go down with freak injuries, then you have a problem.
Then you have a problem because the tank is empty. But even then, you cannot overreact by saying, okay, now we're going to be looking for Yonder Alonso.
Right. Like at that point, then it's panic button, but it is a tap. It is not a hard smash with your fist panic button.
Yeah, and it's I keep hearing his name, and I keep hearing Yonder Alonso's name, and if you keep letting that happen, then Billy Bean's got you over a barrel. Hey, alliteration.
I was going to say, hey, good old Moneyball.
Yeah, Billy Bean's got you over a barrel if you can, because Yonder Alonso's having a good season, but do you really want to overpay for a Band-Aid?
No, I was going to say the one reason I said the names that I said was because, Choi, Cooper, Frazier, it was like, the first baseman struggles that the Yankees have been going through. But I put a star big, like the most important one where you might tap the panic button is Austin Romine, because he goes down. There's another one of your potential first baseman, and then there's nobody backing up Gary.
Yeah, and there's nobody backing up Gary.
Right. So in that case, if Gary were to go down suddenly as a 5th injury, it's like, oh, fuck.
Fuck me. And he's already gone down once. So we need to pray that doesn't happen.
So I don't know.
Say a couple of novenas and make sure that doesn't happen.
Yep. Say a few Ave Marias and everything else. And that's going to pretty much do it for this edition of the Unspoken Podcast. Like us on Facebook at the UDUP and Twitter for that same, with the same tag. And Facebook, Twitter at CS Sports Sites. Log on to Cheap Seats Sports Site at WordPress.com. And that's pretty much going to do it. Oh, August 11th, people, we're going to start our NFL preview.
August 11th is when we are going to begin our big NFL preview, and we're going to probably structure it. Nothing is set in stone yet, but we're probably going to structure it much like we did our baseball previews.
Right, but we're going to spend a month pretty much talking about our predictions and stuff.
So when we are set to go with that, you will definitely know.
Yep. So with that, I'm Tom Albano, and for Nick Federa, you have been listening to the Unspoken Podcast, Cheap Seat Sports Production, part of the Undetermined Podcast Network. We'll see you next week for episode 29. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.